up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going, Healthy Warrior Shane?
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Bella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Welcome to the dive bar of the IWC. Welcome to Wrestling on the Rocks, episode 1. Again, take 2, twice. Here we go. Only episode 1. Take a drink. I'm at Ref Marsh. We're at WTR the show. With me today, Mr. Sportsbeard. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Feels like we just did this 15 minutes ago.
Deja vu.
Yeah.
We'll start real easy here with a little what's in your glass. I'm having Super Espresso by this Super brand that I've been a big fan of for a while as I do keto. This is one of my favorite little coffee brands with the MCT oil in there. Beard, what's in your glass? What are you drinking?
Yep, drinking the X2 Endurance clean ingredients for sustained energy. And that's my guy Saquon promoting it. Tried it out. I get it from Amazon. It's not carbonated. It's like a green tea thing. So. Yeah,
that's cool.
Solid.
That's really good to know. A lot of energy drinks are carbonated, and so I try to stay away from carbonated drinks. So that's one I could probably try out.
Let's Miss Fabtina has given us props in the chat for getting everything going back up again. Yeah, let's acknowledge the NXT releases, and we're getting right into it, my friend.
Yep. There was a bunch of releases for NXT that we didn't get to talk about last week because it happened after we'd done our Thursday show. We're not going to really dig into it here because it is all NXT talent and Sportsbeard doesn't watch it and we don't want to dive in twice. So tomorrow we're going to break down the releases and talk about it a little more in depth. Today, not so much, other than, it's a bummer when people lose their jobs. So, it is what it is. The other thing that we wanted to throw out there was FeedSpot, FeedSpot.com, has an ongoing list of the 15 best wrestling talk shows, and we've been highlighting it for about 2 weeks now, where it shows us as number 7. I don't know if it's any particular order or not. It doesn't appear to be in alphabetical order, because a W would be much lower on the list, I believe. But it was really cool, so shout out to FeedSpot for finding us and supporting us. What do you think, Spear?
Woo-woo. All I got to do is say this has everything to do with Ref Marsh and his endurance to doing 3 years of episode 1s. Congratulations to everybody that works on the show. I have nothing to do with it, but I'm super happy to be a part of it. It's awesome.
It was cool. We got a nice email from them, too, and letting us know that we were there in case we didn't know. I'm going to probably post a little link of it onto our website. If you go to WrestlingOnTheRocks.com, our website, you can check out that. But they did actually, in the email, shout out specifically the recaps that we're doing is something that they like, and we just started doing it. So I don't know if that bumped us up a number or two, but hey, if you go to WrestlingOnTheRocks.com, in the recaps, I'm keeping an open recap of NXT, Raw, and Smackdown. And that's what we use as we go through our show, so you can follow along as far as
Ref Marsh, if you make me a mod, if you make the Sports Spirit a mod in the YouTube chat, I can post links for you in the YouTube chats. And when people go back and watch the YouTubes, they can watch the live replay of the chat, and so they can see the links there too.
Gotcha.
So you just right-click my name and make me a mod. It'll be a little hammer or whatever, and then I can post those links to you. Yeah, just one small thing maybe if you need. Anyway. No worries. You don't have to.
We'll get to it. But yeah, it was really cool that they did that.
So cool. That's way cool.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you waited. You waited for the show to tell me that because we didn't talk about it on the pre-show. Super freaking cool, man. So proud of you guys, man. It's a really cool thing.
It was really neat. When I first saw it, I was kind of like confused because I get emails all the time from different things that are like, oh, we found your show, it's great for this or that, or oh, let's do this, and a lot of times they're pitching weird things that are irrelevant to the show and they clearly didn't watch or listen. But when I read it, I was like, that's a little interesting. And as I started clicking around and looking, like, no, they check out the show, they're referencing things that are happening, and they have us on this list with all these other talk shows on it. So I thought it was cool that they thought of us as a standout. So really,
Very cool.
big thanks to them.
Yeah, super cool, man.
Yep. But I'm ready to get into the shows if you are.
Yeah, let's go, man.
So SmackDown opened up with a cage match: Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre. Drew Gulak as the timekeeper, which we finally see as Sami's trying to get in and he doesn't want to start the match. And Drew,
What a great match,
dude! It was awesome.
The only small critique I have about the match is Sami is a little fast up the cage. He could have easily, he did hang up there a little bit too. He was a little too fast getting up and to the top. And I don't know if he was doing that to make, it didn't make McIntyre look great. I mean, I think McIntyre was selling being down a little bit more. And I think they could have been a little bit more simpatico. But that being said, that's very minutia negative thing. That match to start off a show was premium live event streaming. Just quality. It was so good. It was a great match. And to get a cage match to start a show, I thought was really cool. So,
yeah, I thought it was awesome. I agree. It did seem a little bit like, but there's also a balance, right? If someone's going up the cage too slow, you start going, this person's clearly not trying to get out. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And then if they go fast, the other guy's got to get up, but you also don't want to not sell. I think it was I agree with you. There was like a little bit of a almost misfire between the two of them at how fast and how much to sell. But it was like you said, minutia of it, of like,
yeah, just Sami don't climb immediately. This is the only thing I would say. He doesn't have to go up, but like if they're fighting or whatever, it was good. I don't want to spend too much time being critical of it. The match was fun. And then they put a button on that, Sami Zayn Drew McIntyre thing. I actually thought Sami was gonna win. That's part of it was like, I was like, Sami might win this. So there was definitely a few moments there where I thought the whole story here is that Sami keeps escaping, and now he's finally in a match where escaping lets you win, like legitimately win. So because Drew won the last two based off of Sami escaping, I kind of thought they might have Sami win this one too. Like I was absolutely like, I don't know. You just wanted Sami to win so bad. That's what it is. I mean, because you love him, and I get it. He's awesome. He's so good at selling anything.
Well, it was the genius of the storyline. He keeps escaping and losing. Well, now he can escape and win. That it was like, well, I could definitely see them doing that, especially if they wanted to do more with Drew and Sami. I didn't know if this was the end of their story or not. Obviously, at this point, it looks like it's clearly the end of their story. But I thought they might try to squeeze out one more match somehow. You know what I mean? But they don't need to. They made Drew look awesome here, ready and primed up for Roman. How cool is it, too, that you have Drew, who's been kind of in the mid-card area since his title reign, to prep him to be in the main event scene with Roman, he had to go through Sami. Like, how awesome is that?
I wished I would have screenshotted it. There was a moment where he was standing on top of the cage with the sword, and the light was hitting, and it was so cool.
Actually, on our recap, I have that very photo there.
Oh, do you? Yeah, it was so, I was like, wow, amazing. Yes, I agree. Maybe I would have liked a little bit more Roman McIntyre lead time, but Roman's going to beat McIntyre at Backlash, I think. So they're going to, because, we're going to be.
Well, I think that we're only getting, it's only just getting going. This is the 6-man. It's not the 1-on-1. We still have a ways to go to get to the 1-on-1.
Oh, yeah. The 6-man. My bad.
Yeah.
It's not
so, yeah. So it could really go either way because, I mean, it could go either way. You could have the Bloodline look really strong. You could have one of the Usos to eat a pin, and, you can really keep the thing going. So I think this is an awesome way to prime up Drew for Roman. I think it's an awesome way also to add a lot of heat to Drew as they get ready for their UK stadium show. Because there's no way you're not going to end up in the UK and highlight Drew McIntyre there. You know what I mean?
Is that a pay-per-view or a premium live event that we get to watch, or?
We should be able to, yeah. So far as I can
Okay.
tell. Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're going to build it as an actual premium live event where, because it's not like some of the house show ones. Like, and even then, when they did the Saudi Arabia shows and the Australian shows, they were still on the network at the time to view. They just were somewhere else, and it was like one of those weird like Friday at noon kind of things, or Saturday at 11 a.m. Like, it always hits at a weird time because of it. But yeah, I think we'll be able to watch it, and I think they're going to highlight Drew because, I mean, why wouldn't you? Like, and I wonder if part of it too is to make him look awesome because this is their big return to the UK. They haven't had a massive event like that in the UK in I forget how many years, but it's been a lot of years.
2019, I'm guessing. 2019, I'm guessing.
This is before then. Definitely before
really?
then. They haven't done, I want to say it's like a good, somewhere between 10 and 20. Like, it's a long time since they've had a premium live event there. They've gone to the UK a number of times and had small tours that were untelevised.
They just were there like last week or something, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so if he's not the champion anymore, you're finally going to have the return there. It's kind of a weird spot for Drew when you think about it. He was the champion with no fans. He wins at the WrestleMania with not a single fan. He holds the championship through the Thunderdome, loses it as soon as fans show up, and now we're going to the UK and he's somewhere in the mid card. Like, they're trying to shine him up and get him back into a place of prominence for that, I think.
Well, and I think I know you're not a fan of him. I am, but he gets a big pop. Like, the fans like him. And the people that are in the arena really like what they're seeing, and you know, I'm a fan of him. I think he looks the part, and yeah. I just think, you know, you brought that up. I didn't even think about it, but you know, Vince wants to pay him back for being the essentially the bubble, the pandemic, the champion, where he didn't have fans and he didn't get a lot of the fanfare being the champion and stuff like that. So him getting another run would be great. The sooner the better, because again, I mean, they just haven't given me enough reason to, like, you know, why the bloodline deserves what they have. Okay? Because, I mean, like, you know, the Cody Rhodes thing, dude, how great is that?
Oh, it's been awesome.
You know, especially with his dad, the implications, his dad never technically got the title. It's going to mean so much. And if we have to wait 2 years for it, I am. But boy, oh boy, I'm going to bitch and complain if it's that.
The whole way. I'm going to be kicking and screaming the whole way there.
Especially if it's the bloodline keeping him away from it. But it won't be. I don't think he'll go to Universal title. I think they got to figure something out there with the WWE Championship and Roman having both. I just feel like that's kind of like stymieing a little bit for the rest of the roster, but it's okay. I mean, again, as long as the stories are good and the matches are good, you know, I'm good. Like, let's have another great Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes match. Those so far have been really, really good. And I'm not tired of them yet. So
I know we've talked about it a few times as far as like the Money in the Bank being the catalyst most likely to get one of those titles off of Roman.
Yeah.
And if I had to venture a guess, I would say the world title, because I think that the days he's been Universal is important to his character. Okay. So I would say probably the world title's coming off of him after that. Let's look up real quick, if you don't mind, the UK show, like when it is. I think it's like right before Survivor Series.
Yeah, I can look it up for you while you run the show here.
Yeah, it's Castle something.
Oh, they're calling it.
I forget. It's Clash at the Castle or something like that, or
first major stadium show in 30 years.
30 years. There you go. I knew it was a big one. Clash at the Castle, premium live event. Let me see when it is. It looks like September. So if we know Money in the Banks is July, August, September, that's 2 months later. So we speculated. I've seen other people speculate. Money in the Bank, someone's going to win it, and somehow they're going to pin, like, force a three-way. So, like Seth Rollins, when he cashed in on Roman and Brock and got the title from them at WrestleMania, he used the Money in the Bank to insert himself into the two-way match to make it a three-way where he could then pin Roman to get the win, so Brock never technically lost it, right? We've talked about how someone's going to potentially cash in on Roman's opponent and get the world title that way. what if, as I look at the timeline a little bit differently, I think it's possible because we've been toying with Cody and his story with the world title.
Right.
What if we backburner Cody for a minute? July, August, September. If Drew wins the Money in the Bank, he can walk into the UK with the Money in the Bank and cash in and take the title there and get a massive reaction. And then we could potentially, especially depending on how he cashes in and who he cashes in on, maybe we could even see a bit of a heel Drew McIntyre, and we can have Cody chasing Drew.
So here's the only thing I'll say, and not to be a contrarian. What I'm reading is it's in Wales,
Yeah.
which is a much like kind of the rural part of England. It's its own country, excuse me, and they don't speak English. A lot of the people in the Welsh don't speak English; they speak Gaelic, or it's a different language. So the only reason I mentioned that is I'm not. I know Drew is Scottish. I'm not sure the fans over there need to see Drew the champion. It feels like they're wrestling fans, so they may like Roman as the heel and him being the champion. I'm just saying, like, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think, 100%. It's possible. I think the thought is that Drew is going to the UK as a hero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because especially when you see other countries, the people that they have representing their country, they usually are big. Like, I mean, even think about when Shelton Benjamin was in his hometown and they had him have a match randomly. He lost it, but it was an amazing match just because he was in his hometown, you know? Like, sometimes they do it just to see how it'll go, you know? But
yeah, no, the hometown stuff I totally get. But, like, you know, if this was in Scotland, yes, 100% I agree with you. I'd be like, they don't do that, they should be hiring you to do those storylines for them. But in this case, I just wonder, okay, it's in the UK, but it's not like in Scotland, it's not in England, it's in Wales. And is that important to the viewership of the UK?
Yeah.
You know, those guys, right? Anyway.
It's an interesting dynamic for sure. Like, who knows? I mean, maybe I'm not the only one who might inadvertently generalize. You know what I mean? Like, the UK is the UK to a lot of us, right? It's a bundling of countries where you just imagine that they're all friendly, right? But you're right that they're not. You know, there's definitely rivalries between countries and stuff like that, especially when it comes to sports and such. So it could easily be where he's like, he's not our guy, he's their guy. You know, like, who knows? Who knows?
If I'm saying this right, if I understand it correctly, Wales is sort of like the Midwest for for America, for over there. You know, where like London is like New York and LA kind of, you know, always the bigger cities are going to be a different, where it feels like Wales is a different type of place. So
I can see that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. I just think that it's not off the table that potentially, I hadn't considered it until right now, that Drew might win the Money in the Bank and take it to him there and potentially have a what they perceive as a big homecoming in the UK. Like, but it might not. Could definitely go a different way. But I hadn't thought about it until now. Of like, how would you get him to either walk in as champion or walk out as champion? And I think that would be the play, you know.
Yeah, and that's time frame sort of fits. I mean, it's already May, so, but we'll see. We got to see what happens at WrestleMania Backlash, right? So
that's a good point.
And then we got SummerSlam, right?
Yep.
And then we have Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank, I believe, is right before SummerSlam.
Okay, so Money in the Bank is June, SummerSlam is July.
I think August is SummerSlam. I think July is Money in the Bank, and then I think September is the UK.
Is there not a pay premium live event in June?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
They don't have one a month this year, but they do have a number of back-to-back stadium shows, and that's notable and crazy. You know what I mean? Like, they don't usually do a bunch of stadium shows in a row, but like between Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, and the UK, those are like 3 back-to-back stadium shows, which means that they're going to be putting their best foot forward on all those and make them as big cards as possible because they're trying to sell out damn stadiums.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
for sure. Yeah.
All right, all right. Well, let's keep them going.
Yeah.
Oh shoot. I mean, we're
Yeah.
going, right? Like, I just realized my counter's not going.
Well, let me see. Yeah. Okay. Looks like we're on there. I've seen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't
We're
like
on.
what
I'm
looking at,
watching
but
the
we'll see how
live
it goes.
feed.
All right,
Watching
cool.
the
As long
live
as the live feed is happening, then worst case scenario,
Yeah.
our audio goes up late, depending on how this
Yeah,
is
it's
playing
there.
out. Cool. Hey, so they announced right before, and then they did a promo package here and a little backstage thing with Charlotte Flair. The Beat the Clock challenge announcement. What was your first
Yeah.
impression about that? Where you were gonna have Charlotte versus Aaliyah and Ronda versus Shotzi.
I was a little bit surprised they didn't let that build for a week, but I was excited for it. I thought it was a cool little. It was just a different way to have two people match up without matching up before
Yeah.
WrestleMania Backlash, where I do think Ronda will win this time. But I have to say, this whole Charlotte thing, there's something feels different to me. It feels like there's effort from her. Things seem to be cleaner. She seems to be a lot more cooperative. She's playing the heel part, but I think a lot of us, because we were such haters of her in general, maybe weren't realizing she's actually doing a really good job on this thing, and it's actually elevating Ronda a bit. Yeah, is she on the level that we've seen? Maybe no, but I think that maybe just also just says, hey, Becky Lynch is like Becky Lynch. She's one in a million type wrestlers, but I'm actually really been impressed with what Charlotte's been doing the last couple of weeks.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I did like how she goes that I don't get embarrassed, and then I was like, well, she's clearly getting embarrassed today.
Yeah, not to jump ahead, but yeah, for sure, man. Like, yeah, it was good, man. I watched SmackDown actually after Raw because that's how far behind I was. But I had not seen that format before.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean they haven't done it since I've been back, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I just thought it was just a nice different way, like like the lumberjack match. We don't see those a lot. Sammy Sammy gave us the gauntlet of all these different types of matches you could have.
Yeah.
To open a show with a cage match, and then just it's good, man. And then there I think if there's anything been more self-evident, let's get rid of the draft and stuff, because you have so many people coming over. I mean, you could still have people that are on Raw and people that are on SmackDown, but I don't even know that we need it anymore, because I mean, like, we've had so much crossover between the two shows that it's like, oh, they're really putting their, like, you are not going to miss out on a big superstar if you go to a show,
I do think that it's important for well, there's two things that I don't think people take into account when they talk about abolishing the brand split, is you have two completely different networks. So there are people who can watch SmackDown that literally cannot watch Raw. So if you don't have a split roster at all, and you're only able to watch SmackDown, you might feel like you're watching every other episode if you're not careful. So I think because they're on two different networks, primarily is why I'd say you have to keep the brand split just for some continuity's sake. But I like when they sprinkle in the other ones, because it also makes it feel a little more special since there is a brand split. You know what I mean?
What
It's special to see Drew.
I'm with you, and I agree. That is very special, but they're doing a lot of recaps anyway. So if you aren't able to watch, you're getting a lot of that, on both shows. They got a lot more time on Raw to do it, but
That's true. Because we did notice that. I think it was this year feels like, actually the last 2 months feels like the most I've ever seen on a SmackDown where they literally recap Raw and then keep going. On Raw, they're literally doing a segment that's just recapping what happened on SmackDown, and then they keep going. Like, they are, instead of just recapping this one story, there is a segment in each episode, you're right, that we've noticed, where it's a recap of the other show. So, yeah, absolutely. It's possible. It's possible.
Keeping up that casual viewer, like you've been saying from the get-go. This is they're trying. Yes, you have the hardcore fans, but they're trying to keep this for as a large enough fan base. You know, it's hard to, you know, what do they say? It's easy to please few and hard to please many, or whatever. They're trying to keep as many people happy, and of course the hardcore fans are going to bitch and complain, but you know, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say, since you went into talking to. I was really enjoying that. We went in to talking Charlotte, but just to backtrack a bit, Madcap getting popular fast.
Yep, like that's where I was trying to get to. Happy Corbin comes out, does the happy talk. He brings out the statue. Turns out Madcap is behind him with the hammer.
That was great. I wished he would have got him good with it, you know, like an old Triple H in the gut, you know, because that's such an easy bit to do where they hold, like they pull it, but it doesn't really hurt them as much, and you know,
if you do it right, it looks good.
Yeah, exactly. You can really make that look good. Triple H was like the king of the sledgehammer being a prop weapon, and I'm a big fan. And you know, again, Corbin like just, you know, shows out all the time. I know I say I don't root for the heels, but I do root for the guys that are good at doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And he is definitely.
He's fantastic.
He's so good.
Yeah, and I mean, how quickly Madcap went from being a total heel to just being like fan beloved. It seems like it's
dude.
Crazy.
That's the same thing with like the Edge thing. Like I'm just so blown away how Edge was like super good, and then now they've got this. What is the group? The group
Judgment Day.
It's good. It's good, and I told you like this whole. We needed that. I'm telling you, I am secretly rooting. I don't want to jump ahead. So if I kind of going a little bit off, go ahead and are you good with the Madcap thing? He got his trophy.
Yeah, I love the Madcap thing. He's looking awesome. He's looking strong. The fan is behind him more and more. I'm excited to see this match play out because I think that they will have good chemistry. But this makes me more excited for what is going to happen next with Madcap. Where is he going after Corbin? Because this was obviously the easy step to take. The next one that they do is going to be a little more difficult to
quick question
bring
for you
along.
Because this storyline's good, are they going to carry it on for a little bit longer? Or do you think that WrestleMania Backlash is the end of that story?
I don't know. I could see both.
Yeah. Okay.
I could see both.
Yeah,
I could even see them coming back around. I could see Madcap getting a strong win here, moving on, and Corbin poking his head back up here and there until it's finally like at a crescendo where it's all like, dude, I'm tired of you messing with me. You know what I mean? Like, I can see that too. Ricochet and Shanky, dude, what'd you think of this?
I was good. I gotta be honest with you. That might be the first time I've seen Shanky in the ring. Like he's always on because he's such a big and imposing guy, but you don't see a lot. I thought it was look. Ricochet is awesome, and the thing I said about him that I've noticed, he's getting better with the promos too.
Yep.
Like he's getting so watch the F out because I could see him being WWE champion or Universal champion. Like he's gonna be super popular.
I think he could be. Too. I don't know how many years he's got left because of his crazy style and stuff. But I mean, we've said that about everyone forever, right? It's hard to say, but I could honestly see him as like this current generation sort of Rey Mysterio, just this undersized phenomenon that you just can't help but be behind the whole time. And I could see him having title reigns that are similar to Rey and taking down a giant at some point. Like I could see that down the line. Like
perfect analogy. Yeah. Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
He's literally.
And not that I think that anybody should be like the next X person. You should always be the you.
Yeah.
But I think of like on a more broad spectrum of you know, high flyer, believable giant killer underdog type. Like I could see him, the Mighty Mouse type. They say I could see him being like a poster boy of that.
So just the things that he does though, like he just does stuff that a lot of other people don't even try to do in the ring, and it looks really good.
He uses his whole body and stuff.
Yeah, it's good.
Like, when he was, because I thought that he made Shanky look awesome here.
He did, and the first time I could remember seeing Shanky, and The fact is, I have been a fan of Ricochet since day one, just because of his in-ring stuff is so good.
It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the amount, especially when he's so undersized in the match, and the other guy's like towering and supposed to be a powerhouse.
It looked
I like.
great.
You'll see a change in his moves. Like when someone's more equal to him, he tries to do a lot of fast-paced things that don't involve too much of his body weight necessarily. When it's a bigger dude, he'll start throwing himself like he's the cannonball. It's not his foot. He's not trying to get a spinning kick. He's trying to get his whole body into it. Like you can see the difference in his moveset and the style of it. It's so fucking cool, man.
Yeah, and now are they gonna do Shanky versus
Gender?
Yeah, or something?
Teasing some sort of issue there, yeah.
They're not doing enough with those like Indian-based wrestlers, and the one they are doing enough with, they can just stop now.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. Yeah, let's readjust.
Yeah.
Was this your first time also seeing Raquel Rodriguez in a full-on match? What do you think of this?
I want to see more.
Yeah. I thought it was a nice first outing, looking strong, but nothing seemed stand out.
Yeah, not saying anything was bad. I just let me watch some more. Mm-hmm. You know, she has a lot of enthusiasm. It feels like the crowd likes her.
That was weird to me.
Was that a roster player she went up against, or was that like a guest? Okay. Which I was gonna say, I appreciated the guest's effort.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes.
In this one, she didn't feel like as much of a patsy as we've seen.
That's true, which is cool. Because sometimes someone coming out there and getting like a 3-hit victory doesn't feel all that imposing. So having someone get a little bit of some offense in, being like almost like they were underestimated, and then like, okay, no, but I'm still a powerhouse. Like, yeah,
but just
that can also be nice.
Give the crowd something fun to watch. It doesn't need to be like it. Most of the fans, know who these people are and have seen them wrestle in some other capacity anyway. So just give them a good match. It doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be like a dump truck like running over a toddler all the time.
Yeah. No, good call. Good call. I thought Raquel being so enthusiastic, as you put it, and almost bubbly was weird for me, because in NXT she was always more of an imposing force and always a little bit more serious. To see her out there just like smiling and waving, I was like, okay, this is definitely new to me. But I don't think it was bad. It wasn't off-putting at all. It just was all like, oh, this is different,
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. We'll see what she ends up doing with it all. What'd you think of the contract signing? The Usos and RK Bro. Dude, I think the 4 of them on the mic, like, you can't give them enough time. You know what I mean? Like, let them say what they're going to say. Like, I thought Riddle played in this awesome. I thought the Usos are so natural at speaking. Like, it's insane. The Usos are one of my prime examples of, like, you can't tell me everyone's scripted. There's no way someone writes that. You know what I mean? Like, they talk how they talk, and they say what they're going to say.
They say the same thing every time, though. So, like, I don't know. I fundamentally disagree, but I'm not going to disagree that RK Bro. I'm not going to disagree that whole gauntlet is a great, like, the whole thing is good. Like, it's good. It's so good. The storyline's good. I guess I'm just a little worn out by the Usos, and they're starting to become like okay, it's the Usos. They're gonna say we the ones, and the front of the line, bloodline. Okay, I get it. I again, not trying to be critical. The stuff is fun. The actual in-ring stuff is great. Roman ripping the contract, try to shove down, but then getting Drew to come out, like, that shit is awesome.
Yeah,
and so. Yeah, but, Roman's shirt is so dumb. Sorry. It's just dumb.
I'm not bothered by it. I'm not enticed by it. Yeah.
What?
I'm not bothered by his shirt, but I'm not enticed by it either. I don't go, ooh, I'm going to get that one. When I first saw it, too, I was kind of like, oh, that's an interesting play on that. And then just moved on.
Thank you for explaining it to me, because I was like, this makes no sense. Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay, I get it. They're doing the,
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, and Randy was awesome here too. I mean, obviously
Oh,
he's
dude.
he's one of the fucking best, but like the way that he was able to so naturally get to a point where he's like enticing the Usos and pushing them, like it was awesome, dude.
Randy doing RK Bro and being and loving it and talking about it on McAfee and other things is like Lesnar doing the, country cowboy Brock.
Mm.
Like just this having fun, getting to be like actually getting to be himself. I feel like that if you're a heel too long, then
Mm.
I wonder if it just because
It's
you
grating.
are playing an act, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but wrestling fans are not known for their objectivity at times. So I just feel like it is nice to see these guys, that have been in the game a long time that typically play a certain role. And it's just so fun to watch, like a guy as high quality as Randy Orton just enjoy what he's doing, and it oozes out in his performance on the screen.
And I think that they're doing their best work as far as bringing other people on into a higher level too. Because I also think of guys like Sammy. Like as much as like you might think it's a slight on Drew for me to say that Sami Zayn in this program upped Drew McIntyre's stock and brought him up to a higher level. Like it's not a slight at Drew. I'm not saying Drew wasn't on a high level, but I'm saying that I think Sammy's brilliance of what he wants to do. I could easily have imagined Sammy pitching this. Let me work with Drew. I think I can elevate Drew. Like, not to say that
He did.
better in every way. I feel like it elevated Drew because of the way that it was mapped out and done. Because I
He
think
did.
Sammy had fun with it. You know?
He did elevate Drew. I don't see how you see it on any other way. I agree with you. No, Sami Zayn, I'm going to start nicknaming him the Kingmaker because he is so good at doing these programs and just taking whatever he is given and making it really good. And then, his on the microphone performance is so good, but he's as good in ring as he is on the microphone. He's really good. Like he's good enough that he should get a title run. Like I would be good with seeing that, but they haven't established him as a character that could be in that thing. So I think a lot of fans wouldn't be able to get behind it, but you would, I know you would, but it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I think of like the people who are just far and away stealing the show every time they're out there, it's the Brocks, Randys, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, the people who are clearly having so much thought and fun put into everything that they're doing. No one's phoning it in, and I feel like everyone's bringing stuff. I feel like right now, it feels like we're watching more people have the time of their life than ever before. I feel like that when you go back and watch other stuff, you feel like people are grinding and competing and struggling with this, that, and the other thing. Where I feel like right now it just comes across on TV like they're less stressed about it, that they're invested, that they're having fun, and that it's not driving them crazy as soon as they get backstage. You know what I mean?
Makes sense. I was gonna say the thing that it's the next kind of topic in the show too, or that happened in Smackdown was Xavier Woods' promo in that Ridge and Sheamus thing was one of the best I've ever seen. It was so good. And he, like, you could tell loves the balance. I think he has a really good work-life balance. He does the G4 stuff. He does other stuff. That him and Kofi are just on a different level. And like, as much as I complain there aren't enough baby faces, they are so good.
Yes.
Amazing. When you say greatest tag team of all time, like they have got to be up there. Like in my opinion, they're way better than the Usos because they haven't been given as much to work with. Since I've been back, I know you saw like the rise of them, and I know they've had like their big runs and stuff. So I'm not trying to do revisionist history. I'm just going from here now, going forward. I really liked that whole segment, and I could care less. Butch can stay gone. You know, I mean, like, I'm sorry, dude. I just don't care about that guy. So,
They definitely
and if
haven't
you say, "Oh, he's great in
highlighted
ring,"
him
but we
enough.
got enough of that. We got enough great in ring stuff. Like, give me some good stories to go with the good in ring stuff. Like, that's what I want. You know, give me a good story. No, you're pissed off. Why? Why are you so angry? Go to fucking anger management then. Okay, all right. So, but yes, that Xavier Woods promo was so good. So,
What did you think about? Because here's the only thing I thought was going to be that seemed like uphill to me was Xavier Woods. What do they call him? It wasn't Wreck It Ralph. It was Shake It Sheamus. Sheamus wasn't in the match, and the crowd continuously was chanting at Sheamus, which I thought was
Sheamus, it was awesome. I think that had everything to do with how good Xavier Woods' promo was. He took the crowd like it was milk and made it whipped cream. Like, he just whipped them up into a frenzy. That's how good that promo was. That's one of those things where you're like, you're at some inspirational speech, you're like, oh my God, that was awesome. Or you're at a concert or something. And that was all him. He goes, you're like Wreck-It. You know, he couldn't say Wreck-It Ralph or whatever. Like, he said Wreck-It Ralph, but it's like, and Sheamus just sort of looks a little bit like Wreck-It Ralph too, a little bit.
But
so it was
do you
funny,
think,
man.
Yeah, for sure. But then what my concern is then we're watching a match where the crowd doesn't care about the match at all because they're busy picking fun at a guy on the outside. So I felt like it drew away from the match. But then what I noticed, Woods is so damn good that almost every time they started chanting something towards Sheamus, Woods would start getting a comeback just enough to where they'd start chanting New Day Rocks. Like, he was able to bring the focus back brilliantly. And I kept thinking it was an uphill battle because every time they started chanting to Sheamus, I was like, oh, that's a bummer because they're not paying attention to you in the ring and you want them to. And then he was like, no, I got them. I'll get them here too. And it was just, he's a master, dude. He's an absolute, when I think of underrated.
That was like my favorite segment of Smackdown. I mean, it was so good, that whole thing, how it finally came up. So,
what'd you think about Naomi, Sasha? Or was Naomi against Shayna with Sasha and Natty in that segment too? Because they all seem like they're having fun too. If you're asking, me.
Nothing from that
stood out.
It's like striking a chord.
Okay.
Yeah, just a lot going on. So that.
Oh, for sure. I just didn't want to ignore it like it didn't happen, but I think
didn't have any notes down on it, so I just like it was.
It was a good match, and I like that they're making Shayna a little bit more brutal in this as they're going. But
I'm a big fan of both of those two, and I'm fine with them, getting some time.
Yeah,
and they're gonna compete for the tag team champions. And this Naomi Sasha tag team thing was a really good thing to do with those two characters.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm digging it.
Yeah.
But right before we do the main event, there was Chapter 4 of Lacey Evans. This topic had a lot to do with her dad specifically not being there for her at graduation.
So I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it?
I just skipped it. I'm sorry. I just skipped it. We talked about this, the third one. I feel like we're on the record. We had producer lady and she shared her thoughts. I just don't want to belabor the point anymore. I do want to give this person a chance and see how they do with this character and see where they're going. But like, they have beat this horse to death, resurrected it, and beat it to death again. Like, it's over. Like, I keep it at this point. I might get giddy if she gets cut from the roster, because I'm not a fan of these intro promos that they run for 6 months and then we finally see the person. Because look what they're doing. We'll get to it on Raw. But anyway.
Yeah, we don't need this much. I was gonna say that this specifically, because as much as we've talked about the other stuff being kind of like weirdly placed and weirdly emotional, this one straight up felt like it was just an attempt at a therapy session, and I was like, this feels a little different. This isn't even about a thing. It's more like, it was so weird in this one that I was like, they got to stop these. Just get her in the ring and get her in a story and talk about this stuff later as it comes up. Like, if you're hyper-focusing,
Yeah, what I'm saying, Ref Marsh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I apologize there. I know they do focus groups. They have to not be getting good feedback on. I just don't know how I'm serious. Like, WWE focus group. Like, this sucks. Dude, this is coming from a veteran. I don't want to hate this woman. You've given us way more information than we need. You're creating, like, we already, look, the first 2 promos were enough.
That was enough.
3
exactly.
was kill. You want to establish a backstory. Now, maybe that, in fairness, you and I talked about this, the casual viewer may not have seen the previous 3, so they may not feel as strongly. But I feel like at this point, come on, guys. Like,
you know what I think would even have made it better? Honestly, like, so they did the first 2.
Yeah.
I think at that point, put her in the ring in a match. Then maybe the week after that, maybe the 3rd one. If you feel like you have to show all of them, right? At least break it up with matches. This just feels like it just feels like it's dragging on so long without anything of substance in between. You know what I mean?
Ref Marsh, if you want to give more backstory, like, have it be done in a ring against a heel, where the heel's like, you had a tough life, I'm gonna kick your ass, and she has to overcome the heel. 100%, dude. Like, just shut the fuck up and get in the ring. And I'm not blaming her because she doesn't run the shows. It's not her. But, like, woo, dude, the promo work, she's got a long way to go. And if she's if she's as bad at delivering these as she is in the ring, ooh, I'm not going to be a fan. So, yeah. I just fast forwarded it because I really want to give her a full opportunity, but it's just, I was like, nope, I got so much shit I got to get done, and I'm going to skip this 4 minutes. So
Sure. All I was trying to say was, if they had all these packages together, they felt like, hey, we want to do this full 6, like, let's say there's 6 chapters or some shit. Do a chapter one week, do a match next week. Even if the match isn't, like, in a storyline, just have her do something in ring that we can connect to, have her get a wave at the crowd, do something, so that way when we see it again, we don't feel like it's just this long, drawn-out thing, that at least feels like something is moving along and we're learning as we go. Like, the fact that it's not being broken up at all, I think, is making it worse, if I'm being honest. Like, if this was 2 weeks down the line and we had a couple matches in between, he goes, oh, I want to talk more about this. Okay, at least something's happening. This feels like just a run-on sentence. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you see what Miss Fabtina said?
Oh, yeah, Fabtina in there goes, I saw one person on Twitter say that as someone with similar background growing up, it was triggering back her PTSD. That's understandable, too. I get that.
Because it was like an online therapy thing. I'm saying, like, I think people forget this. We go to entertainment to get away from our lives. Sometimes that's to escape trauma or whatever else. Maybe it's just a shitty day at work or whatever, but we're watching wrestling or movies or playing video games or whatever to get away from that shit. It takes your mind off of it, right? If you have somebody throwing it in your face, I'm not sure I don't think that's necessarily a good thing for the WWE. Now, I'm not saying I don't want to hear about her backstory. I just feel like fire the fucking writer on that one, because it's just not good, or her delivery. Whatever. I mean,
you know what they even could have done secondary to that? Like, I mean, how many times have they literally advertised Brock Lesnar on Pat McAfee, or Cody Rhodes being on After the Bell? They tell you, like, hey, for the in-depth interview, go to here. Like, you could have done those
fucking broken skull, the broken skull sessions or something.
Put her there. And then let her get real deep in the woods there. So if you want it, it's there and you can hear it and you can get behind it. But you only get a taste of it on the show because you don't need that level of in-depth therapy session. Like, for sure, you could have absolutely separated it.
I hate the fucking Veer shit too. But the Veer shit was like vignettes. Mm-hmm. It was like vignettes.
Yes.
This is like an oratory. It's like a symposium about vets with PTSD that had a rough life. Hey, I get it. Like we said, people have rough lives. So
yeah. And Fabtina said, "All I know." Go ahead. Read it.
Go ahead. Yeah, you say it. You say it.
It says, all I know is that Xia Li made her story interesting. It made me excited to see her in ring. Yeah, because they were doing the comic book things with like the voiceover stuff. That was actually pretty cool.
Yes, hers was awesome. That was awesome. And then, you know, the problem with Xia Li was they did the awesome pro, and then they didn't use her in the ring enough. She hasn't been around enough.
Yeah.
So
they should get back on that.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, they're missing the fucking boat. I feel like they had a board mapped out and they lost the one with Xia Li or something. Like, this is what we're gonna do with Xia Li, and it disappeared. So
yeah, it didn't make it to the next town.
Yeah.
Let's talk main event real quick. I did want to throw this out here. Overall, it was fine, the beat the clock challenge concept. My issue with it is this.
Okay.
It inherently undermines half the talent involved immediately. By having Aaliyah come out and Shotzi come out to effectively lose as fast as possible, it just undermines them as talent immediately. And I think that both of them, especially Aaliyah and Shotzi, both of them have such fan favor right now. People want to see more from both of them. People like them. And then to just put them out on display here and say, look, they're so bad, we're going to book a match where they obviously will never win because they're not good enough. And the competition's really going to be between the two actual good people and how fast they can beat the shit out of these opponents that suck. And I feel like it undermines them so much, and I feel like you have enough NXT talent. I know it sounds so shitty to say because a few of the NXT women were cut right following this.
Yeah.
I was like, why wouldn't you just, if you knew you were going to let those ones go, maybe you bring in two of the women who you know are on their last week and say, hey, come on through and lose this match for us real quick on the way out to help this storyline along. Like, you know, like if you know that they're done anyways, you know?
Or
local talent.
Use the fucking obligatory local talent for those matches. And would you have had a problem with Raquel Rodriguez having like a real match with Aaliyah or something?
No,
like
and if she'd even won.
That would have been a better... Why can't you showcase two young talents wrestling each other at the same time? It makes no sense. This is the Veer fucking stuff, which we're going to get into. It makes no sense. Like, use that... yes. So here's what I said. I didn't even think about it diminishing Shotzi and Leah. I was like, well, at least Shotzi and Leah are going to be on TV this week.
Yes.
Well,
I thought that too. I was like, I like that they're out there and we see them, but like you said, I'd rather see one of them lose to Raquel in a competitive, mostly competitive match than to be like, how fast can I beat the shit out of you? I'm like,
you could have done a three-way match with those two, with the Shotzi, Aaliyah, and, you know, it's a tough job, man. Like, there's only a few that do it super, super well, and there's only a few more that get paid super, super well for it. So,
do you like? So it was fine. It was cool. Ronda wins. It makes you wonder if Ronda's going to lose. But this is another one too, where it's like you have two people win, but one's effectively a loser because they didn't win enough. Like
I know
it's a weird.
I liked the format. I know you weren't a fan of it, but it's just a unique way to get them to go up against each other without actually wrestling. Because again, the event's this weekend, right? So you got one more show before the weekend, and
yeah, absolutely. And it's not that I like hate it; it's just inherently has these weird little logic flaws to me that I go, it just feels awkward. Yeah. But I get it. I do think it, like you said, it's an interesting way to do a thing. I wish it was different talent they were beating up. And then my other thing is the continued use of Drew Gulak in such a weird way. Like I don't
know what
understand.
They're doing with him.
Yeah. Like I like Drew a lot, and I think he does the most of everything he's given the opportunity to do, and I think he's so good at everything he does.
Is he?
But he's out there every week just getting beat up by Ronda and Charlotte, and I was like, when is he getting his comeuppance? Like, when is he, you know what I mean?
Is he gonna be in-ring talent again, or I thought he had like retirable injuries or something? Is that?
I haven't seen anything like that, but I haven't dug around looking for stuff about that.
So they're maybe just trying to field their way with him. Maybe it's just a unique way to utilize him. And but I mean, he's been in ring, and then he's been a ring guy. Yeah, it's I don't know. It doesn't make.
Pat has been putting over Drew on a week to week too. He's like, oh, he's doing such a good job. I think it's really funny.
Yeah.
Pat's big fan. I did like when Ronda won. They were doing a thing, and like it took a beat or two before Drew hit the bell, and Pat's all like, Drew Gulak a little slow on the bell there. I hope that doesn't come back. Like,
He's gonna get fired from that job too. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing there. Maybe they just move him around. I think they're just trying to keep him in the conscience of WWE fans right now. So they're just throwing him. You know, he's going to do a bunch of shit jobs. I imagine they'll have him be the janitor or some shit.
At some point.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Hacksaw did that.
His job keeps getting less and less important, so eventually he's going to be like scraping gum off the floor or some shit, and then they'll build him back up. You know, they're breaking him down to build him back up probably because he's not wrestled in the WWE before, but he wrestled elsewhere, right? He
definitely wrestled in WWE. He was he was wrestling for a while. You know what I wonder if they're doing, especially if he's getting closer to the end of in ring, which I don't know if it's true or not. I wonder if they're kind of poising him up to take over for Sonya, because they're starting to tease that Sonya might not be an official anymore. Adam Pearce could need a new partner.
That would
Drew
be good.
Gulak, for a while, Gulak was kind of a GM type role on the cruiserweight division. I could see him stepping up that way, especially if he's got a history of getting his ass kicked by all the talent when he did lesser than jobs. To now be in charge of those talent could come back and be fun.
Yeah. That if they do that, I hope they do that. I hope you're right on. And they are definitely setting us up for Sonya to get shit canned as the thing, which is good. Yeah. And she wants to be back in ring. I know she was on McAfee. I told you she talked about how she likes to do both, and she loves the creative thing. But she really hasn't been doing both that long. I mean, she's just been the thing for a long time. But it looks like she's back into the in-ring stuff or whatever. And correct me if I'm wrong, hers was not related to injuries at all. It was just that craziness where that guy was gonna in-home invasion, like kidnap and murder her, which is an awful, terrible thing. So
it's not an ideal situation by any means, but
yeah. No, dude, for sure.
Yeah, so let's talk Raw. Opened up with Roman coming out. They barely get much of a promo in before RK Bro comes out and lays out the Usos. Drew comes out, and they're kind of
fucking beautiful,
battling it out.
Yeah, the roster comes out to kick the shit out of the Usos. I'm sick. This is again this arrogance of the bloodline is more like Randy. You know, and I'm saying Randy Orton's.
Oh no! It looks like we froze up. I think we're losing Beard again. Yeah, we lost some technical difficulties. Maybe what we'll do here is cut here and come back and do a Raw one real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the out, and we are going to come back for Raw.
Listen to me, support us, or buy us a drink by following and hitting the I and subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with wrestling on the rock.